Whidbey Island, the place we call home. The place that prompted Captain George Vancouver to observe in May 1792. I could not possibly believe that any uncultivated country had ever been discovered exhibiting so rich a picture. And a rich picture it was. Lofty and impenetrable timber contrasted sharply with the wind-swept golden grass, camas, and bracken fern that sprouted from the prairies. Vancouver noted they were as enchantingly beautiful as the most elegant finished pleasure grounds in Great Britain. Yet the grandeur of his observation belied dark truths. The serene and sparsely populated meadows only appeared so because of severe depopulation caused by the very germs they and their predecessors had introduced. Upon setting foot on shore, the settlers observed the grisly aftermath of a massive smallpox epidemic. The native population and white settlers alike treated smallpox and other ailments using a mix of sophisticated herbalism, spirited ritual, and dangerous medical guesswork. But in the 1850s, all of that began to change, starting with the arrival of Whidbey Island's first physician.
My great-great-grandfather was more affectionately and commonly known on the streets as the canoe doctor because he would make island visits and he would go to homes and visit patients there. And he would take his canoe, row around the island, pull it up on the beach, and make house calls.
Dr. John Coe Kellogg trained as a homeopathic physician in Cleveland and crossed the Oregon Trail with his family, witnessing firsthand the toll that cholera, fever, and desperation extracted from those seeking a better life out west. Traversing the waters of Puget Sound in his canoe, he was often accompanied by as many as 6 paddlers bearing him across the water.
If he wasn't doing that, he was in his horse and buggy going up and down the island. Since there was no centralized place for a hospital at that point, that's how he provided services to our local community.
One of his first patients was a little girl named Hetty. She was born in May of 1853 to Rebecca and Isaac Eby. Rebecca was already ill with tuberculosis when Hetty came into the world. That September, she was gone.
The first settlers here got all kinds of bad diseases, the diphtheria, the tetanus, typhoid, which are diseases that we don't see or hear about today, tuberculosis being probably the #1 killer.
Kellogg's treatments were characterful in their own right. Capsules and medicines of such powerful effect and odor that more than a few were found hidden beneath bedsteads rather than swallowed. Yet, he was trusted throughout the community in the ways that mattered most.
He was well respected. In fact, he was the target of the Cake Indian retribution.
In 1856, the USS Massachusetts arrived at Port Gamble under orders to disperse a party of Tlingit people hailing from Cake Village, Alaska. They had set up camp on the beaches of the logging town, and residents feared the possibility of violent raids. The confrontation escalated, and when all was said and done, a number of Tlingit were killed, including a chief. Under Tlingit custom, a chief of the enemy had to be killed in revenge. Their decided target? Dr. John Kellogg.
But he was away, so the Cake Indians decided to go to Colonel Isaac Eby.
The island's first settler, Hetty's father, was killed near the porch of his own home that August night. Kellogg and his family left Whidbey Island not long after. Hetty, a child he had nursed through her earliest years, never fully recovered her health.
Hetty died of tuberculosis also. They didn't have the advantage of our vaccines and our medications that we have now.
I actually have some old medicine from back then that's in my history cupboard just because I find it fascinating. I think the thing he would realize that hasn't changed is why people do the care they do.
Nearly a century would pass before another figure arrived who would leave as indelible a mark on the island's medical story. Polly Harpel came to Whidbey Island in the 1930s as its first public health nurse. There was still no hospital on Whidbey Island. When women went into labor, they crossed open water to hospitals on the mainland.
There was just no hospital here to take care of them. And, when babies want to come, they want to come.
Dr. Paul Bishop practiced out of an office on Front Street in Coupeville. He understood this reality as well as anyone. When a maternity patient had nowhere to go, he turned to Polly and she took the woman in.
She was here long before we moved here. We would often, after church, would stop at the Polly Harpole's maternity home. There was a glass window where you could view the babies.
She was a no-nonsense nurse. She set the rules and you followed the rules. It was part of what she did to make everything safe and secure for the mothers and the babies that were there.
Between 1936 and 1962, the Harpole Maternity Clinic delivered hundreds of Whidbey Island children in a small house in Coupeville. Even as she ran her clinic, Polly never stopped pushing for something more permanent. She raised money for a proper hospital however she could, even selling special Harpole maternity home birth certificates to new parents.
If you needed hospital care or a specialist or a service that the office couldn't provide, we went to Anacortes, Mount Vernon, or Everett.
You live on an island and you have bad accidents, and to have to go all the way to Skagit, lives were lost.
She filled a need, and it was an important need at that time. She had an excellent reputation and was loved by all.
The drive to build a hospital was the product of sheer collective will, taken up most fiercely by the women of Whidbey Island. In February of 1957, 9 women met and resolved that their community would have a hospital. They formed a parent guild, the Polly Harpole Guild, and issued a challenge to the island's housewives. If you want safer and better living on this island, form a hospital guild.
They wanted to get 20 guilds formed with 20 members.
The ladies that did a lot of fundraising were from the Polly Harpole Guild. They were very famous for their Mardi Gras.
They did that every year from 1957 to 1965.
When I joined in 1978, they still talked about how much fun it was, how the community would rise up to the occasion. Although $1,000 doesn't seem much today, to them it was monumental.
Finally, in 1970, Whidbey General Hospital opened its doors in Coupeville. The original sign out front was built by students in the high school woodshop. It was from the very beginning a people's hospital.
It was exciting, but we had a staff here and no patients. So we were wondering what was going to happen. And a guy walked in with a suitcase, like he was going to a hotel, and he was actually our first patient, I believe.
A hospital was only part of the story. Getting patients to that hospital and keeping them alive along the way was a challenge entirely its own.
Back in the 70s, the ambulance, one of them was run out of a barber shop in Oak Harbor, and on South Whidbey, it was run out of a TV repair shop. And eventually, it went to the funeral home, and that's kind of what was happening across the whole area here, that a lot of the ambulance services were run out of funeral homes.
Working with his brother Gary and a team that started with just 8 people, Wallen helps transform what began as a first aid operation into one of the most highly recognized rural emergency medical systems in the state of Washington.
They ended up winning a top-notch award for having the finest EMS system in the state. On the early years, it was grab and run. When you'd come up to the hospital, there was no doctor working the emergency room. It would be doctor on call. And so you relied on the nurses to really help you. So you would come up to the hospital, we would actually be helping them out in the emergency room. And to see that now, it's an amazing system, how they rotate ambulances up and down the island. They stabilize the patients. The patients get really good treatment ahead of time, which makes the survival rate way better than it was.
More than 50 years after it first opened its doors, Whidbey Health remains what it has always been. A community hospital, built by the community, belonging to the community.
If you go into medicine, though it's changed in technology and delivery, The main thing that hasn't changed is the compassion for people. That is still the same. Holding someone's hand in their time of need, trying to make them feel comfortable and focus on their healing, those attributes are still the same.
Just recently, I had a health issue which required my admittance to the hospital for 2 days. During those 2 days, I realized what great care I was given. I couldn't be prouder. Having been a commissioner here and always struggling for the public's good health care, I realized that it's happening right here.
Something I always tell our staff, we collectively are Whidbey Health.
This hospital is Whidbey Island's hospital.
When I walk out these doors, I represent Whidbey Health, and we together make Whidbey Health.
You want all the staff to feel like this is their home.
Thank you, and know that it is appreciated and recognized.
Us doing that is what makes this your hospital.
Whidbey Health is
Your hospital.
Your hospital.
Your hospital.